And why my mic over there? We are recording. Guess what, folks? It's a Sunday. Yes, it fucking is. Time for the last What's Up of 2022. Here's the thing. Next Sunday's Christmas Day. I am going to be dead to the world after eating far too much turkey. And the Sunday after that, January the 1st, New Year's Day, is another Sunday. So I'm going to have a hangover. Yeah, I'm going to have a hangover. So, last What's Up of this year. There's a few things to cover channel-wise, actually. But before we get into that, big thanks to everyone that voted for Vaping With Vic in this year's ECig Click UK Awards. 7 years in a row, I got the top spot again. 7 years, and so I think the first time was 2016, was it? There wasn't an ECig Click Award in 2014. I came third in 2015. Yeah, 2016, yeah. I mean, the difference in the industry between 2016 and this year, wow. That first one back in 2016 when I had something like, what, 4,000, 5,000 subs back then? Far less reviewers out there than there is these days. It's probably why I managed to get it in 2016. But yeah, big thanks to everyone that voted. Also, massive congratulations to Gaz Flat Cap, who got second, and doffing my cap and thumbs up to the fine folks over at Solom's channel. Mark Solom, BFG, and of course Stevie. They got 5th place in the YouTube category for the live show that they're doing every Thursday. For the people that don't know, pardon me, before UK Vape shows on, Mark Solom and the crew have got their live show on a Thursday that runs about 2 hours, or starts 2 hours roughly, before our one starts at 9 o'clock on a Thursday. So if you haven't nipped over it, just search for Solom Reviews. He doesn't really do that many reviews these days. He's more of a live show thing every Thursday. Go and give them a sub. So kudos to Gaz Flat Cap, and of course to the fine folks over at Mark Solom's channel. Also, thumbs up to UK Vapester. I think Rob got 4th. Yeah, I think he got 4th. And FV Vape Show, never heard of them. Honestly, I've never heard of them. I think they got 3rd. Or did Rob get 3rd and FV Vape Show get 4th? Okay, that's who was in the top 5, right? I can't remember what one was what for UK Vapester and the FV Vape Show. But yeah, big congrats to everyone that got in the top 5. The ECig Click Awards are important. Oh, there's critics out there that give it, oh, the awards don't mean anything. It would surprise you how many distributors, how many vendors, how many liquid manufacturers and how many small manufacturers actually keep an eye not only on the ECig Click Awards, but on the Vape Around Awards. I mean, I had a lot of doors open to me on the 2nd and 3rd year, which was 2017 and especially 2018 when I got the ECig Click Award. It wouldn't surprise me if Gaz, after getting 2nd, I'm sure he got 2nd place last year, wouldn't surprise me if Gaz at the end of the ECig Click Awards beginning of 2022 seen an uptick in the amount of people, or the amount of companies, whether it be liquid manufacturers or vendors that were contacting him in January or February of this year. He'll probably see the same thing in January, February 2023. The big one for me was, of course, the Poland trip, but that was down to the Vape Around Awards. Again, all these people that say these awards don't mean anything, they do. It would surprise you how many vendors and manufacturers and stuff actually look at them if it wasn't for the Vape Around Award at the beginning of this year, in the May Expo of this year. Me walking up on stage picking up that award for the 4th time brought me to the attention of Chem Novatic. And the Chem Novatic footage, and it's a lot more about the Chem Novatic stuff halfway through this What's Up, but there's a lot of footage I took in Chem Novatic. The Chem Novatic trip is going to make up the backbone of ECig 101 Series 3, which is to do with e-liquids to do with nicotine, and more importantly to do with DIY. The last 2 episodes, the full last 2 episodes of ECig 101 Season 3 is going to be dedicated to making your own liquid. A simple 1 flavour liquid for the first episode, and a slightly more complex 2 or 3 flavour liquid for the last episode. And that's the plan. But Chemnovatic paid for my flight out there and back. They paid all travel expenses. They paid for the hotel. The only thing I had to bring with me is my camera stuff. That was essentially it. They even paid for the meals out with the Chemnovatic staff for the first couple of days. I just had to bring £50 spending money, which was converted into zloty, which is the Polish currency, because I thought Poland used the euro. Nah, they done what the UK done. They kept their own currency. So yeah, that was all down to the Vapor Round Award. But the doors that got opened to me 2018 and 2019, I think it's more especially 2018, when I was basically midway through the run of first places. The ECig Click Awards do mean something. You've got to look at it this way. If you're a vendor, you run a vape shop. You're a distro, you run a small distribution company. You're a small manufacturer of e-liquids. You might be a large manufacturer of e-liquids as well. Or you're a Chinese-based manufacturer who's looking to get into the United Kingdom. What's the best way to take a snapshot, an all-encompassing snapshot of what the in thing is? Polls. And the ECig Click Award at the end of the year and the Vapor Round Award roughly midway through the year are 2 of the best snapshots of the entire vaping scene in the United Kingdom. So if you're a liquid manufacturer that's looking to see what the hot liquid is, not an actual hot liquid, but the hot selling liquid, or the most popular liquid flavour is at the end of the year, ECig Click Awards. If you're an e-liquid manufacturer wanting to know what the most popular flavour is roughly at the end of spring, Vapor Round Awards. You can base everything off that. And as these companies are scrolling down the award list, boom, they come across the YouTube section, and they come across the vape community section for Facebook groups and for the forums. And this is why these polls have a trickle-down effect for reviewers on YouTube. That's why they've got a trickle-down effect. Not only do these polls provide a snapshot of what the in thing is at the time that poll was run, they also give vendors, manufacturers and distributors an eye into what's happening at that moment in time in the industry. And the spillover of that is the stuff that's at the bottom of those polls, the community side of things. For instance, John Dunn. I know John sometimes watches these WhatsApp. Congratulations, John, on winning the advocacy section for ECig Click. Or did he win it, or did Nick? I know Nick Grimm Green got something for advocacy, but I think John Dunn got another one of the advocacy positions. I should have checked again what the ECig... I'm sure John Dunn's name was in there. Maybe he got second place and Nick Grimm Green got first. Or maybe they split the advocacy for UK and US. I know John Dunn's name showed up in there somewhere. But yeah, congrats, John. Either you got first place or you get somewhere in the top 3. So yeah. So that's the ECig Click Awards done and dusted for another year, folks. Done and dusted for another year. You know, people in the Facebook group were saying, Vic, we expected you to win it by now. Every year. It's literally every year for the past 7 years. I sit here and think, this is it, Vic. This is it. The run is over. 7 years in a row I've won this, and the Vapor Round Award's been 4 years in a row. Every year I think, this is it, Vic. This is the end of the run. Someone else is going to take up the mantle. There was only a 10-point gap between myself and Flat Cap. Now think of it this way. Flat Cap's got 5,000 subs, right? I've got 76,000. I clicked over to 76,000 a couple of days ago, but there was only a 10% point gap in there. Back in ye olden days of like 2017, 2018, it was a 25 point gap between myself and second place. Part of the big difference between the ECig Click Awards of 2018 and the ECig Click Awards of 2022 is if you look at the reviewer names that show up in the top 10 for 2018 and you look at the reviewer names that show up for 2022, a lot of those reviewers are not reviewing anymore. And those reviewers that have stopped reviewing or moved on to other things, their user base is now splitting up between the people that are left on the ECig Click Top 5 and myself. So that gap is slowly shrinking down. So there will come a time when Flat Cap will take over. You know, he probably won't take me over in sub count, but he'll take me over in votes. That day's going to come. I know for a fact that day's going to come. I'm a dinosaur in the ECig review scene. I'll be at this for 9 years. Fuck me. 9 years. I'll be at this for 9 years next March. 9 years. I'm just letting that sink in. I wasn't even in my 40s when I started doing this. God, I feel old now. I wish I never fucking mentioned that. Now I feel old. 46, 47 next year. Didn't have any grey hairs before I went fucking self-employed. I'm just moaning now, right? Anyway. True though, I didn't. Before I became self-employed, not a grey hair. Not fucking one. Now I'm self-employed, having to do fucking tax shit, which is what I'm going to be doing at the end of this month, beginning of next month. Fucking grey hairs. Fuck. So, Carol, not Carol, as in Christmas Carol, Carol, C-A-R-L, Carol, not Carol. I know they sound kind of the same, but they're not, right? I'm pronouncing them differently. Just, it's the mic. I'm blaming the mic, right? So Carol from Exceptional Vapes contacted me about 4 weeks ago now and said, Vic, what about putting the Regency line into 200ml bottles? And I thought, what? Are they actually going to sell? And then I thought about it. I mean, hold on, there's people out there. I mean, if you're buying any of the Regency line liquids, you're probably a sub-ohm vapor. You're more than likely to be a sub-ohm vapor. And these little fellas, the 50 millers, they don't fucking last long. They really don't. Even the 100 millers don't tend to last long. So Carol kind of taught me into doing a run of 200ml bottles for the entire Regency line. You will find the 200ml Regency line up on the Exceptional Vapes website. The King, the Prince and the Duchess have all been transferred to 200mls. Yeah, so lots and lots of juice in the one bottle, and technically I think the way that he priced them out, you actually save a little bit of money as well if you go for the 200ml variant. So they should now be available on the Exceptional Vapes website. I am currently fucking raspberry. So I've always had a problem with raspberry flavour, but I'm currently working not on the peach Melba. So the next flavour is not going to be peach. They're not going to, because there's already 2 peach flavours in there. And Carl said, your next one, Vic, no peach, thank you. So the next one's going to be a kind of strawberry and raspberry Melba kind of idea. But it's the fucking raspberry flavour. I have never, ever got on well with balancing out raspberry. But it's going to be a kind of fruity Melba thing that's going on there. It's going to be rather nice. If I can get the percentages of the raspberry toned down, it's going to be rather nice. There's already 2 raspberry flavours in there. I'm already mixing around with 2... There's 3 strawberry flavours in there. I'm already messing around with 2 raspberry flavours, along with the Melba back note to it as well. Yeah. January. I'm hoping January. Because I'm working on that flavour right now. Anyway. On to what's going to be happening with the channel. We are in the second last week of the month, the week of Monday the 19th. Now, I always go on holiday for the week between the 25th, which is Christmas Day, and January the 2nd. because Scotland has a second holiday. Like the rest of the UK has basically got to go back to work on January the 2nd, but on January the 2nd, the second day of the new year here in Scotland is also technically a national holiday, because we've all got fucking hangovers up here in Scotland. Hogmanay. New Year's massive in Scotland, so we're out of it for January the 1st and 2nd. So from the 25th to January the 2nd, I usually take that week off. There will be no reviews on the last week of this month, as there always has been on at the end of the year. There's never any reviews up in the last year, but of the last week of the year. But I won't be taking that week off technically. Season 2 of ECig 101 is now past the halfway stage. We're on the rundown at the other side of the hill. So Season 2 of ECig 101 will be coming to a close probably about halfway through January. And what I'm planning to do the last week of this year, Wednesday the 28th, Thursday the 29th and Friday the 30th, I'm going to be up in the studio, number 1, taking down all the decorations, number 2, giving a good clean out. I've actually got 2 fucking huge plastic storage thingamy bob doohickeys from fucking Amazon that I'm just going to be chucking a load of stuff into to store it, because that place needs a clear out. It needs a clear, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing on the week off of no reviews. But I'm also going to be putting together the rough edit. It's going to be a very rough edit of ECig 101 Season 3. All to do with e-liquids, DIY mixing, and nicotine. And the nicotine side of things is going to be handled by the Chemnovatic folks. They know fucking far more about the liquid industry, and more especially e-liquid and nicotine by itself than I ever will. And that was one of the reasons I snapped at the chance that they were offering of me actually heading over there, because I was thinking, hold on, I could sit down, interview these folks, and throw questions at them that a brand new vapor would ask. Think about it. Brand new vapor. Got a pod kit in their hand, and they're asking the store all the general questions, but then they go back home and they think, where did this nicotine come from? What's the difference between Nic Salt B and S? What's the difference between Nic Salt and Freebase? What's this hybrid nicotine? All the basic questions, and the folks over at Chemnovatic answered them fucking phenomenally well. So that the entire point of Season 3 of ECig 101 is all about liquids. The last 2 episodes of ECig 101 Season 3, I'm going to be mixing. This is one of the reasons that you've probably seen the big social media post of, they sent a lot of nicotine in. Like, something like 4 400ml bottles of Nic Salt B, 4 100ml bottles of Nic Salt B, 4 100ml bottles of Nic Salt S, 2 100ml bottles of hybrid, and 4 100ml bottles of Freebase. But they also sent in Chemnovatic flavouring. A lot of the flavourings in e-liquids that you get in the European Union, not so much here in the UK, but e-liquids in the European Union, a lot of liquids are actually coming from Chemnovatic. So the idea is it's going to at least, in fact it's not going to be at least, it's probably going to be the entire Season 3 of ECig 101 is all going to be sponsored by Chemnovatic. This is when the rare occasion is going to pop up where you see the sponsored by logo and little bar pop up at the bottom of the video, because the way YouTube rules are, and for that matter the way the HMRC rules are, if you take a kind of payment in kind of thing, like they paid for the flights, they paid for the hotel, they paid for all the transportation, they even paid for dinner. So they kind of paid for it without actually giving me money. I never actually took any money from them, but they paid for everything for the trip. So technically they kind of sponsored it. They did kind of sponsor it under the rules and under the eyes of YouTube at least. So you're going to see that sponsor thing down there. But basically the entirety of ECig 101 Season 3 is going to be sponsored by Chemnovatic. The content for Chemnovatic is going to make up the backbone of that series. But the plan is at the end of this year, the 29th and the 30th, there's going to be a rough edit put together. There's a lot of footage, and it's going to take me a while to sort that footage out, because I never actually done. There was a running list of questions, right? But the recordings were done out of sequence, like who's in at the office at the time. So I need to chop up those interviews into the single interview segments, and then sort out where those interviews are going to go within the 6 or 7 episodes of ECig 101 Season 3. And that's what I'm going to be doing at the end of this year. The idea is that when ECig 101 Season 2 comes to a close, once the 9th episode goes out, which is going to be round about midway to the end of January, there's going to be a 2-week break, and ECig 101 Season 3 goes out all at the same time. The original plan was to feed the episodes out, but what I'm thinking now is just release the whole lot at the same time. What I've done with Season 1. That's what I'm thinking of doing. Whether that actually happens or not is another thing, but what I've got in my head right now is release the whole lot at the same time, and that way people can sit there and watch episode 1 through to episode 7, binge watch it essentially, without feeding it out like I'm doing with Season 2 right now. I might change my mind, I might not. It depends what kind of mood I'm in when I launch Season 3 roughly at the beginning of February. We'll see how things go, but yeah. So that's what I'm going to be doing at the end of this year. Also, there's going to be no best of video. Well, there's going to be no best of video as we would remember them, because here's the thing, there isn't enough stuff that came in for review to actually warrant a top 5 or top 3 position series going into a best of video. Think about the amount of RDAs that got released this year. There's hardly been any. There sure as hell isn't enough to make a top 5 listing. Think of the amount of RTAs that, now there was well, not a lot, there was a fair number of RTAs that got released, but a lot of them are spun off into the mouth to lung category. And as you know from me, I don't mix up direct to lung RTAs with mouth to lung RTAs in the best of. There wasn't enough made to warrant a full top 3 or top 5 position. When it goes to mods, same thing. I looked at the file server last Friday, and in fact it wasn't last Friday, it was last Wednesday, when I was thinking of planning out the best of 2022 video, and it's practically all pods. Because here's the thing, I've reviewed less pods this year than I reviewed in 2019. In 2019, I was still doing 5 reviews a week. I'm now down to 3 reviews a week because of the slowdown. But the slowdown didn't happen in the pod sector. The slowdown happened in this sector. The advanced vaping and the hobbyist vaping. If you look at what happened in 2019, I reviewed more pods in 2019, but those pods were offset by the likes of UL going pod, AIO, kit. Because that was the pattern that UL generally tended to do back in 2018 and 2019. They released a pod, they released an AIO, they released a dual battery box mod kit, then they went back to pod. But look at what they done this year. Pod, 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 pod. It was all pods. It was literally all pods. So even though the amount of pods reviewed this year was not as much as 2019, percentage based on what I reviewed, yeah, because there was no offset, there was no large numbers of dual battery and single battery kits that Smock usually churned out and Vaporesso usually churned out in 2019. All of these companies, Smock, Vaporesso, UL, all these companies went down the road of, just went down that single track road of doing mostly pod kits. And this is why looking at the rundown, looking at the rundown of all the stuff that I've saved, in the file server, there isn't enough to do a best of 2022 video. Okay, if it was a best of pods in 2022. There's fucking more than enough. But outside of that category, nah. So what I'm thinking and doing is probably the 30th, or it won't be the 31st, that's New Year's Eve. Probably the 30th, I might end up doing a quick video about my own personal picks, like the top picks for me in 2022. Or I might just skip the best of idea video completely and just do a that was the year that was video that gets released in the afternoon of the 31st. But there is going to be no best of, because there isn't enough stuff there to warrant making a full best of video. If I'm going to do a video like that, it's going to be my own personal picks. I'm not going to be doing a top 3. I'm just going to be picking the top item from each category that I've reviewed. Because there really isn't enough there to do a top 3 or top 5, especially for the RDA side of things. There just isn't enough there. I'm hoping things pick up in 2023. I really are. So what else is there? I think that basically covers it, folks. Yeah, I think that basically covers it. So once again, next week will be the last full week of reviews. There should be 4 reviews up next week. The UK Vape Show Christmas special will be on the 22nd. 23rd, I officially go on holiday, but I'm not really on holiday. I'm just not doing reviews. And then I'll be back in the studio on the 28th, 29th and 30th to start the rough edit of ECig 101 Season 3 to do with e-liquids, DIY and Chem Novatic. And then in I think it will be January the 3rd, I'll be back into the office as normal for the start of the year, and that's the way things are going to be running for the rest of this year. Actually, yeah, the rest of this year. If you're off to visit friends and family, or if you're off on vacation tomorrow, I know some of you are, early Christmas holiday, and I don't see you before New Year. I hope every single one of you out there have a fantastic Christmas and a safe and prosperous New Year, and I'll see you after New Year. For everyone else out there, normal run of reviews for next week. UK Vape Show Christmas special on the 22nd. There should be a fair number of boxaways in the 22nd. Okay, a lot of it's going to be a bunch of podcasts, but there should be a fair amount of boxaways for the 22nd. No best of, but probably my own personal picks of 2022. That will probably go up on Boxing Day or the 27th, and on Friday the 30th or the 31st it will be the usual That Was the Year That Was, or I might just bundle the picks of 2022 into the That Was the Year That Was video. Depends what kind of mood I'm in, and it depends how hungover I get after Christmas Day. Anyway, that's it from me, folks. As always, thanks for watching and have a good one.